Good morning, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm presenting today the eQMS that we are selling at Confinis. Confinis, maybe a small introduction about who we are. We are a medical device company, mainly doing consulting in the fields of regulatory affairs, quality management, design controls, risk management, usability engineering, clinical evaluation, labeling, manufacturing, etc., etc. Of course, we help a lot of companies in different fields. We are a company with a lot of different backgrounds, from physicists, pharmacists, medical doctors, chemists, biotechnologists, and also now recently a software engineer, me. So I'm Xavier Villemain. I started at Confinis last year, and I'm developing the eQMS part at Confinis. So what is actually an eQMS? An eQMS is an electronic quality management system, which means that we have inside a software the quality management system that we usually implement for our clients. So a quality management system is a set of SOPs, standard operating procedures with templates. And then we can build a lot of automations with this electronic quality management system and have electronic signatures, because in the end, what is the goal of going electronic is to have less paper. So if you have already experienced the quality management system, the problem is that you have a lot of documents to create and you have a lot of binders in your office. So the problem is that you of course want to have less paper, and the electronic quality management system is a good way of doing this. So that's why we are now selling it to our customers, either existing clients that already have Confinis QMS, or other clients that we actually support for some reason and that already have another quality management system implemented, but also startups that start from scratch. And of course, our eQMS is most suited to the Confinis QMS, but this can be adapted to anyone. So yeah, why we are now doing this is because we got multiple requests recently from our clients to move to the actual electronic quality management system. And we think that we now have a good solution that we are ready to show you. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I will share my screen for approximately 10-15 minutes and present you the tool. And at the end, we will have a Q&A session. So feel free to ask all your questions at the end in case you have more details. You need more details on some features that I demoed. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you is how we are storing the documents that you typically need to have inside your quality management system. So this is the core part of Confinis eQMS. This is inside an infrastructure that is called Atlassian. Atlassian is the name of the company that is developing a suite of software tools that are in the context of our eQMS, Confluence, and Jira. So Confluence is, like you are seeing right now, a kind of a wiki. This allows to have documents stored like in your SharePoint, like you are used to. So here you see, for instance, the quality manual of the quality management system, and then like folders, all the SOPs, the standard operating procedures that we have in our quality management system, and under each of them, the related templates that we can store. I will show you how this works for a particular one, which is the CAPA report. So that's typically a report that you fill when you have to create a CAPA. This is a template that we have from our standard Confinis QMS. But the problem is that inside this Confluence infrastructure, which is kind of a wiki, again, a word processor, it's like if you are creating a Word document, but inside the browser with collaborative features between your coworkers and also externals in case they have access to your Atlassian infrastructure. But the problem with storing the documents like this is that, yeah, in the end, it's just text that is not very structured, that you cannot extract that much information from there. So of course, as part of the core of our eQMS, you can just use the template like this. But the idea is also to put it outside of the an automated process that allows to have structured data to build KPIs that I will demo later. So let's now see how this would look like if we use just this particular feature of the eQMS. So we are here with already the template created. So if you want to edit it, you go in edit mode. And here you can just enter any information like a normal field. You enter the article number, you fill the form, etc., and you go through the steps of the templates that, in this case, Confinis provides. But of course, again, if you have your own quality management system, you can just use your own templates. And we see that here at the end of each process, so the first process here is the trigger. You define trigger and deviation description. At the end, you define who discovered the tool and the actual kappa, put your name, the date, the visa. So it's typically a signature that we are required, that is required here. On a paper document, it's easy. Here, in the context of this particular Confluence tool, we have an approval workflow with different steps and e-signatures that are FDA approved, and essentially just your username as it's your email address, a 6-digit passcode, and you have your signature inside the tool. Okay, I will demo it also. So typically here, the paper part is not there anymore, and you just care about the approval workflow. So yeah, you just go through the steps, you enter a lot of data, it might mess a little bit also the layout, so it's not that user-friendly. But that's why we have dependent kappa reports that is inside Jira, which is from Atlassian Infrastructure, a ticketing system that is very versatile, actually. At first, it was used for software projects, software development, agile methodology, which allows to track new features inside what is called the Jira issue, a very generic term for a lot of things. So in the context of software, it can be a bug, which is definitely an issue, but could be also a new feature, which is not an issue in the general term, but for Jira it is. And then we can customize it to everything. So it started, as I said, for software development, but then Atlassian developed it for a lot of other business processes. So you can use for CRM, customer relationship management, which is, in this context, the Jira issue would be a particular prospect that you transition through multiple workflows, multiple steps in your workflow. So here, that's what we did. We configured the Jira software to make it work for an electronic quality management system. So you see here, all the steps that were before in the template, the kappa reports inside Confluence, we now see it inside Jira as structure form. And this can be then extracted in a report to build KPIs, etc., etc. So just to go through what it would look like inside the Jira instead of in Confluence. So you can here just fill in the information. You see here that the description of the deviation has to be put here. And then we need to sign to go to the next step. So we click here on sign. This is my name. I just put my title, consultant here. The meaning of my signature is that I approve this step, so I go to the next one. I entered my 6-digit passcode. And here we see that my signature is here at the bottom, mentioning my face, okay, my name, my position, the date and time at which I signed, what was the meaning of the signature, and of course the workflow step. So that's this particular workflow that we use inside Jira. Here we see again all the steps that are inside our Confinis templates for kappa report. So you see here trigger and deviation description, then containment actions, etc., investigation and root cause analysis. Those are the steps that we see here, and we go through each of them by here going to the next step. Oh, I missed one field, sorry. So there are some advanced validators that allow that gives a notification, a warning in case something is not right. So typically here, I have to mention all the fields before being able to transition. I have to put my signature before being able to transition. So here I was missing a field. Now the transition should work. Ooh, assignee. Yeah, so you see, it guides you quite well. Transition field, the field assignee is not set, so I will assign myself to this particular kappa. And here we are in the next step. Okay, containment actions, now we are. So we go to the containment actions and we fill the form, etc., before going to the next steps. Okay, so this is for the Kappa report, this particular example that we automate in Jira. But what about the other documents that still live inside Confluence? So I was mentioning before the quality manual, for instance. So we can see here the actual document, and you want maybe to go to the next step to approve it because here it's in draft. So we have an approval workflow for each document. The SOPs need to be approved. So first you need to have an author, a reviewer, and then at the end an approver, and decide when you want to publish the actual standard operating procedure or the template. So to do that, we have here a workflow that is customizable, of course, as well to your particular needs in case it's needed. Here we start in draft, we go to ready for review before being able to review the document, waiting for approval, and then to publish. And of course, at each step, we can reject the actual step to go back to draft. And in case the page has been modified, so you just add a comma or you create a new version of your SOP, it goes automatically back to draft and you have to restart from scratch. So in practice, how does it work? You click on this. So here you see the status of the actual page. So you click on it and you have this UI, this window that allows you to enter, as I said before, your email, the 6 digits token that is coming from your phone. So let me generate it. So it's normal two-factor authentication as you are used to normally in with other websites. You can put a comment like saying, okay, this looks good to me. Let's move on. I author the document. And the document is now ready for review. Once the document is ready for review, I can assign reviewers for the next step. Okay, so here add reviewer, I can put one of my coworkers. Please review this document. And he can confirm in the audience that he receives a notification saying that he has now a document that is ready to be, that has to be reviewed. And the same, he will just arrive inside this page, being able to enter his email, the 6 digits token that is set up for this particular software, and mark the document as reviewed. Okay, so here I'm not marked as a reviewer, so I cannot access it. Of course, if I'm the author, it's very desirable that I'm also the reviewer or the approver. Okay, so this is the main feature of our eQMS, the ability to store documents, records as well. So the approach is to have both access for quality managers and all the employees. So this approval workflow is typically not normally shown to all the employees, but only to quality managers. And that's why here we have both spaces, that's big folders inside Confluence, one that is here for quality manager that have the whole life cycle of the documents and all the latest drafts. But of course, you don't want to show drafts to your audience, okay? So to your employees. So that's why we have this other space that shows only the most up-to-date version. And here you store the actual documents and records. So yeah, that's the core, that's the heart of our eQMS. As I said, for the Kappa reports, we have this particular automation here, but we have also another one that is very cool and that might interest you, especially if we are a medical device manufacturer, which is the automatic traceability of requirements. So if you are already ISO 13485 certified, you know that this is very complicated to do that. You have to build inside Excel a big traceability matrix with a lot of redundancy, a lot of copy-paste all the time, and it's basically a huge spreadsheet that you have to maintain. Here, the only thing that you have to do is to create issues for everything. So a user requirement, you create a new user requirement. You enter if this is a must, a wish, the description of the user requirement, you create it. And from here, yeah, number 2 was already there, whatever. From here, you can link it to other parts of the design control that you have. So typically, you have your design inputs, you have your design outputs, you have your validation test and verification test first, and then validation test. So the point is to go through the whole V model that you are used to in ISO 13485 certification. and we link each issue from one to the other. So here, we just created this new user requirement, so we don't have that much, but this older user requirement is linked to this particular design input. It was done with the standard issue linking from Jira. So you select here translates to, and you enter here your particular issue. So for instance, design input, and you validate, and it links the issue. So you go now to design input, and you see that it's same linked to a specification, which itself is linked to a verification test, which itself is linked to a validation test. So that's how you build your traceability. But then how do you see it actually? Where is the reports? And the report is here inside a structure, which is a hierarchical view of all your design controls. And you can also see defects. So in defects, like for instance, untraced user requirements, I will open everything. This is a very fast way to see what are the problems with your traceability. Okay, so here you see all your design controls that are linked to each other. So yeah, there is just a small visualization issue here, sorry. Okay, so it should show here the name of the user requirement that is linked to a design input, to a design output, to a verification test, and finally a validation test. So you see here that all the 5 steps are here for your particular here user requirement. That is the number 1 that we saw before that we went through. But there are also user requirement 2 that I just created, which has an issue because here it's not traced to anything else. Okay. So of course it's appearing here under untraced user requirements, and that's a way to directly show what are the defects of your traceability. Okay, so that's the structure to build the traceability. It's automated. You don't have to create any traceability matrix or whatever. By design, if you link correctly issues with each other, they appear here. And if there is some issue in traceability depending on your criteria, they won't show here, and yeah, there will be a warning here. Okay. We also have risk management, of course, that allows you to enter your hazard, harm, and hazardous situation inside a Jira interface, and insert the inherent risk and the residual risk. Okay, so to finish, I will just show you what it looks like in the report. So here, a quick design risks report that is showing all the risks that we have, mentioning the hazard, harm, hazardous situation, and the traceability, the severity, the probability of occurrence, the risk level, etc. At first, it was not acceptable, and it got mitigated, and then in the as far as possible range, so it's fine, and you see it for all your actual risks. Okay. Yeah, so I see that we have a question. How are you processing and documenting the changes and next revision or updates from change management point of view? Yeah, that's very good question. So inside here, the Confluence part, so that is storing documents. We have the built-in audit log that is from Confluence that is showing all the changes that were done to the page, both changes that are published directly and the ones that are not. So here, typically, you see that every comma or small modification is locked as long as you click the publish button. But you can also have a workflow history. So it's part of the approval workflow that I mentioned before. And you see, okay, that I mentioned here looks good to me at this particular hour, and go back to particular versions. So you see this version 9 here, and you see what was the state at this particular time. Okay, of course, you can also compare versions with each others, and I think this, yeah, I think this solves your, this answers your question. Otherwise, you can also have versioning if you really want to have more control and not rely too much on the Confluence part. Have versions directly inside the content of your document, and yeah, that's it. So. Yeah, just to conclude on the presentation before taking more questions, I would just want to precise that the software is validated. So this means that we come with a validation dossier that allows you to be compliant directly with our solution, whether you use our QMS or not, and that we are here ready, especially me, to answer your question and your particular use cases. The advantage of going with this solution is that this is highly customizable to your needs. And not only, we are not imposing our own way of being compliant with ISO 13485. We actually allows you to build your own quality management system inside this infrastructure. That's the main advantage of going with Atlassian. It's very versatile and adaptable to a lot of use cases. So all the workflows that I mentioned are customizable. All the forms, the name of the fields, of course, we can change them. And also, most likely, you maybe already be using Atlassian. Okay, this is a very well used. It's used by a lot of companies around the world, not only software companies, but also for project management in general. So maybe you can also spare the cost of the licenses because it's shared between multiple use cases. So yeah, that's it for me right now. So don't hesitate to ask a question in case you have more detailed. You need more detailed information about a particular feature that I went very fast. Normally, I demo the eQMS in more than 1 hour to our clients. So, yeah. Do we have something from LinkedIn, maybe? No? Directly? Okay. So maybe from my audience, I have a very interested audience today here in Bern. Yes.
Hi. So thank you for the demo. Can you give us some hands-on experience of clients that have implemented this and how this electronic QMS fares with respect to the paper-based quality management system? Please say again the question so everybody knows.
Yeah. So the question is, how does it compare to paper-based eQMS system? So the thing is that, we already implemented in multiple clients, including Bond Bridge, which is a bone fixation plate manufacturer. And they noticed that the efficiency is approximately twice higher because they spend less time in managing all the actual documents. Okay, so they don't have to go on paper, scan the document, because in the end, yes, you have your paper, but you still want to have it digitalized. So you have to scan it, you have to import it inside your infrastructure, you have a lot of steps here. And even just the KPIs, building the KPIs, once here, the report that I'm showing here is, once it's implemented with all the fields that you want to see, the issues just populate by themselves inside, and you don't have to do anything anymore. So it's the same for your sales pipeline, for instance. If you want to have your KPIs directly inside Jira, you can. You build once the reports, and you just have to include the data once. So whether this is writing it on paper or typing it on your computer is the same time, but then all the reports come from free. So that's mainly me doing my work at the beginning of the project, implementing them, spending some time, and then it's available for free, kind of, the reporting is there. Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
You also have a question?
Yes.
So for me, it's also would be interesting to understand if this can also be used in other areas of the company. So would it be something that is only for quality management system?
The question is, do we use only this solution for electronic quality management system, or can it be used for other domains of the company? So if you are speaking about the electronic quality management system, of course, this is for electronic quality management system, but the advantage of going inside the whole infrastructure, the Atlassian infrastructure, is that, of course, like typically here, Jira, I can show you for Jira, we can use it, as I mentioned before, for sales pipeline, employees, management, onboarding, for trainings, etc., etc. So you have a lot of use cases, legal documents, etc., etc. So yes, that's the advantage of going with this Atlassian infrastructure, is that you pay for the license. Maybe you already have it for software development, but you can use it for a broad range of services internally in the company. And the more you use, the better is the value, because you can link everything together. So of course, I mentioned training, or I mentioned sales. That's the specific processes that can live standalone by themselves, but you could also want to include them. You should mainly include them inside the quality processes. And if you track already your sales inside Jira, it's much more easier than if this is an external system. But of course, if you do it with Microsoft BI, etc., etc. There are a lot of interfaces, integrations that allows you to interface with your quality management system. So it's not because you are inside this infrastructure that you are stuck inside. Yes.
In your experience, what is the learning curve? Because since everybody for the formatting is used to using the Microsoft Office suite, here it's probably a bit different.
Yeah.
How much time does it in general take to get used to it?
Yeah, good question. So the question is about the training, the learning curve. What's the typical time that is required for employees or stakeholders to get used to the eQMS and use it efficiently? So I have to admit that, of course, like for every software, there is a learning curve, especially for quality manager and top management, because those are the people that we need to interact most with the tool. Okay, so that's them that will need to transition between workflows in Jira issues for CAPAs, etc., or open new features, new Jira issue in general, etc. For employees, it's a little bit different. Normally, they just consume. Depends on the company, of course, but normally they consume just the content, so they just read through the content. If they are involved inside the creation of procedures or templates, typically R&D is involved in this, they will need to learn how to create documents inside Confluence, which is a little bit different than Word. So Word is more focused on creating eye-catching, very good-looking documents. Confluence is more focused on a wiki, like Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not very attractive visually. That's more or less the same for Confluence, even though they are improving. And the idea is to train the users on all the users on Confluence, and specifically quality managers for all the other processes. So for employees, normally if they are used to the IT world, it should not be long. Normally it's a few hours of training, 2 hours normally of training is sufficient to go through the features of Confluence. And for quality manager, we provide a full day workshop to go through all the steps. We have a question more. What about importing existing docs in your platform? Yeah, well, very good question. So one of the important things is that we need to migrate existing quality management system sometimes. So how do we import documents? So it's either your existing documents that are in your quality management system. For that, if you have Word procedures already, you just copy paste the content. And you can revert the versions in case you want to match what you currently have. But yeah, essentially that's opening your Word file, copy pasting, or importing. There is an import feature inside Confluence. We import your Word documents. Be sure that they are the content is correct inside infrastructure. And then signing according to your actual quality management system on paper. Then there are other documents that are, even though you don't have a paper QMS, you are already directly inside your electronic quality management system and want to have more documents inside. Like typically you have a lab report and you need to insert it inside the quality management system. How do you do it? So if you have it in PDF, so you scan it and you can import the PDF inside the Confluence page. That's like any other content. Or if this is, again, a Word document, and that's the way that we suggest clients to do, it's to put the content, the actual content, the text, again, the Word file inside Confluence. And if you need signatures, you ask externals to include inside your infrastructure. So the good thing is that Atlassian bills users per month. So in case you have suddenly an external, you externalize software for 2 months, you can add those particular software users to your instance, your Jira instance. But then, in case you don't need them, you remove them and you don't pay for the license. So that's versatile, and that's not because users are not inside your instance anymore that they don't appear anymore. That they are. Yeah, the audit log is very key here for compliance, for the validation, for respecting the requirements from ISO 13485, etc., etc. So that's an important part. So there are 2 ways. Any other questions? We have 1 minute left currently, so hurry up in LinkedIn or here. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe a comment on how is the implementation for clients that have already an existing quality management system, and how is the implementation if you just want to go for the
Yeah. So the question is, what is the journey with me implementing the electronic quality management system, both in case you are a company with an established quality management system, or if you are a new startup and start with the quality management system. So in the first case, we go through a kickoff workshop meeting with a gathering of all your requirements, both from the IT side and from the your compliance officers, etc., etc. Your quality managers. I had a lot of stakeholders in those meetings, and then I just implement. We have a few iterations, and once you give me the go, we go in production. Make sure that the migration is set up as well. So there are a little bit of time before. You still need to import your documents. It takes some time. I would say for a normal quality management system, it can take 1 month for one person of work to migrate it, and then we need to validate it. And also we have a validation dossier that is prepared and that we customize, of course, as well to each client. But basically, the core is there. We don't start from scratch all the time. We have a pool of users that each benefit from each other in terms of features and, of course, experience. And for the startups, it's a little bit different because most of the time they don't have a head of quality yet, or it's new, they don't really know how to approach it. So first, at Confinis, we have a startup workshop that allows to have a very customizable quality management system where you are on your own and that is cost efficient. It's a workshop on 7-8 days where you go through the ISO 3485. And then for the eQMS, we kind of not impose, but we suggest the way of doing because normally you don't have that much strict requirements, and from there we incrementally increase, and the rest of the process is the same. Then we have the validation, etc., etc. So it's of course easier to start directly inside our eQMS. I won't tell you otherwise. But in case you already have your quality management system, you are also pleased to come with us. And I think this concludes for today. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Feel free to reach out to Confinis, to your particular employee here, consultant that is responsible for you in case you are already a client, or to me directly in case you are specifically interested in the eQMS. And I see you maybe in a few days for that. Thank you.